Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Marion County Espresso TV. I'm your host, Steve Woodhouse, and joining me today via Zoom is somebody we all know here in Pella, Harry Smith. Welcome, Harry.
How are you doing today, Steve?
I'm doing okay. How are things in New York?
Beautiful, sunny, but chilly spring day. We're right at the beginning of spring, right? The vernal equinox, one of my favorite days of the year.
The very first day of this spring. It's supposed to be cold here today too, but we'll get by.
Yeah.
So, as we talked about, you came back to your alma mater, Central, to teach a class this fall. How did that go for you?
It was really, honestly, one of the best experiences of my life. It was so exceeded every possible expectation. Not that I had a lot of expectations that, you'd hope that it would go well, but the students were amazing, smart, really came to play, and it was really a really terrific experience, really great experience. And I'm going to come back and do it again.
Is that next fall, or are you going to come back for the summer or sometime?
I will be back in the fall. Classes start, I think, August 18th, so it's not really fall. It's sort of pre-fall. No, I'll be back in August.
I was gonna say it'll be nice and hot at that time. So
miserable, but it's miserable here too at that time of year. Although at the end of August here, you really just start to feel a little bit of the change as the days get a little shorter and the nights kind of cool off. But my experience from last fall in Pella was there wasn't very much mercy there, especially beginning of September.
Yeah. And so you have nothing but praise for the students, it sounds like. What were some of the highlights, or what kind of unexpected things occurred during your class?
Well, one of the things that I said in my class description was that class participation would be mandatory. And so I had 25 students, and just about everybody had to speak at least once during every single class. And students embraced the assignments, and I think that was the thing, is they really embraced some of the stuff that we were studying. And I think of the revelations that I had was, if you were to give an assignment and say their job was just to repeat back to me the things they'd studied the night or two nights before, that stuff is easy. But what we did was then, well, what do you really think about what was in that assignment? And in the end of the day, it's what came out of the students was really was most impactful to me, was people were really thinking about the things that we were talking about.
And so next fall's class will basically be the same, like a similar.
Similar. There were a couple of classes that I thought, this is just going to be so amazing, and it was crickets. I mean, it was just like, it wasn't what I did, but I think you don't really bat 1,000 in that teaching racket, but you want to keep as high a percentage as possible. And so there were a couple that we'll do some adjusting around the edges to see if we can. I need to improve my performance.
Are you still taking assignments for NBC News, or are you fully retired now?
I am not taking assignments from NBC News. I talk to people at NBC News all the time, but I'm not in the field at all. No.
I see that I got an email this morning saying that you're going to come back to campus to interview Lisa Bluter next month on April 14th. How did that come together?
So it's just a little over a year ago. I was on an assignment in Boston, and I get this note, and it said, "Can you get to Iowa City by tomorrow night?" And so, because I've traveled almost for a living for many years now, I said, "Oh yeah, I'll just fly down to D.C." And there was an American flight that stopped. There was a nonstop from, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I got to Iowa City in time for the big game, when Caitlin Clark scored her amazing signature logo 3 to break every record there was to break. And that was the story I was assigned to cover. So as a result, then I got to meet Lisa. We had her on the Today Show the following morning, and then we had her on, then we interviewed her again. And I met her husband, and I met some other folks who are supporters of women's basketball at Iowa. And we all just kind of hit it off. And when I came back in the fall, I got a nice note from Lisa's husband saying, hey, you need to come to Iowa City, join us for a football game, et cetera, et cetera. It was just some kind of an instant camaraderie there. And so then then I had a woman from Cedar Rapids, Laura McBride, who runs a big electronics company up there. I had her come to address my class, and she brought Lisa with her last fall. So it was all kind of crazy. And then we went out to lunch, and there's more of this. I don't know, we have good chemistry. Let's put it that way. So then I approached her with the idea of, how about, would you come to Pella and talk to Central College students and folks who live in Pella and just talk about your experience? And she said, sure. So here we are. We're very excited about it.
So have you formally interviewed her since that game of Caitlin Clark's?
No, we talked a lot, but no formal interviewing. And oddly enough, then late last fall, there was a memorial service in Bettendorf for one of my college roommates who was a girls' high school basketball coach. And he knew Lisa Bluder from back in those days, and he was one of those coaches that networked with everybody. So along with a number of other high school coaches, at this memorial service, Lisa showed up to talk about Gary Allman, Central College graduate, 1973, who was my roommate senior year. And it's just, sometimes the world is really just about this big. I mean, there are no degrees of separation. So, it's no formal interviewing going on. And I'm not even so sure this will be a formal interview, much more of a conversation. And we've told people as they sign in for tickets that if they want to leave a question, we'll do some audience questions too.
And she just always comes across as like one of these friendly, down-to-earth kind of people. Did she strike you that way as well?
No, just the opposite. So yeah, she's all that. Just really, really terrific person. Really terrific person.
And I'm glad to see that you still have the strong relationship with Central. We've talked about that in the past. Being back on campus, is everything still the way you remember it? I mean, as far as like that general sense of community among Central College students and faculty?
Yeah, well, a couple of different things. When I was on campus, I've been coming back for years and years and years as a board member.
Yeah.
But to be there every day for a stretch of time was really helpful to me. It's really pretty. It's such a beautiful place. It's such a great campus. And there are days I would just plop down on a bench someplace and, drink in the sunshine, and just what a gorgeous, gorgeous campus it is. And in the meantime, I met a lot of faculty members too. I was as impressed as I was with the students. I was impressed with the faculty folks, because crazy, crazy smart and really dedicated to seeing their students succeed. So I ended up having a very, very, really rich experience on campus. It was all I had hoped for and much, much more.
So what are you doing with yourself now that you're retired? I mean, you're back in New York as we talk, especially a guy as busy as you were, I remember back in the day. So what are you doing to keep yourself busy?
I was pretty crazy. It's interesting. I have breakfasts now with old pals, and sometimes these breakfasts will last 2.5 or 3 hours. And, different people have different conversations about different kinds of things. And yeah, trying to. I'm trying to learn how to be retired. To be perfectly honest, I have occasional speaking engagements, and so I always do preparation for that. And one of the things that I emphasized in the class last fall is there's no such thing as too much preparation.
Right.
So I try to give everything I've got to that. I've got a big one coming up on April Fool's Day, as a matter of fact. So I've been working on that. It's at the Edward R. Murrow School of Journalism at Washington State University, which is where he spent a good portion of his younger years, and where he was a student. And so I've been doing a lot of homework on Edward R. Murrow of late, and yeah, I'm going to be doing that speech on April Fool's.
Are you going to work in an April Fool's joke there?
Well, I sent him a note sent the folks at the Murrow School. I said, I hope this. You're not pulling my leg. There's no bad coincidence between the fact that I'm there on that day and the fact that it's April Fool's. So we've kind of cleared the decks with that.
Journalism, it's one of those things. Like I've had a couple bad experiences in my day, and I've tried walking away from journalism. It's just hard to do. It's hard to walk away from. So I imagine it's even harder for someone with as much experience and prestige as you. Is that true?
Yeah, it's. I've always counted myself I'm literally the most fortunate person I've ever encountered. The places I've been able to go, the meet people I've met, the stories I've been able to turn, and that's. I'll admit it's. I miss that. I miss that. I miss the human encounters. There wasn't a day when I was working that when I would either jump in the rental car or get in the airplane. I didn't have a little, that kind of good anticipation or good anxiety about what we were gonna find when we got there. Because you can do all the homework in the world, but right. As you well know, you get on the ground and you start talking to people, and you're going to find out what the story really is, as opposed to what you think it is going into it. So that whole process to me was so gratifying, and I found. I mean, it's. Please accept this in the context that I'm trying to say. I'd get high from that experience, just like how amazing is this, and how lucky we are to be in this place, to have this conversation, and then take the responsibility back to New York and turn it into a story that people are going to watch and pay attention to, and be glad they had the chance to see it. So I miss that. I do. I miss it. Yeah. There's parts of the business I don't miss.
Oh yeah.
And but that actual experience. Listen, I had many more months and many more years at that than I probably deserved. But listen, I have nothing but gratitude for the good fortune I was able to have been dealt.
Did you get approached much while you were back here in Pella by journalism students? Just trying to pick your brain.
Just students, because we don't really have a means to study journalism per se at Central, and we didn't when I was there either. And you'd be amazed at the number of people who are in the journalism business who never really studied journalism per se. But there were a lot of students who just wanted to pick my brain, who just that was the advantage of being on campus all the time. Was people would sometimes come over. I'd be having breakfast or lunch in the dining hall, or I'm just sitting around campus someplace. I got to know a number of different students that had nothing to do with my class. I got to know the softball team really well, especially the sophomores on the softball team, and just different groups here and there. Some people that were musicians, some of the folks I went to see the play. I went to see a band concert. I went to a choir rehearsal. I just availed myself of as many of those kinds of opportunities as I possibly could. And that it reminded me of my own rich experience at Central, more than 50 years ago.
And that's always a good reminder for the folks here in Pella, just all kinds of great things happening on that campus year round. So,
yeah, no question. Some of the concerts are just amazing, and it's so interesting because the play that I saw was an entire student production, and the people who were the stars in the play were not theater students before. One of them was like, "No, I like to work on sets and stuff like that," and their performances were just fantastic. In fact, one of the young people that I met just accidentally after seeing the play, I had come to talk to my class for a few minutes. There was a lot of connectivity when I was there, and I think that's one of the real strengths of the college, always has been and still is.
So what was your favorite time, obviously getting to know a lot of people and everything? Was there anything else that really stands out as, this was the best part of my fall back on campus?
Well, there were certain moments in certain classes when kids just really rose to the occasion. I honestly, there were a couple of times I had to almost turn away from the class because I was getting choked up because they just were so great. So, for instance, there's a guy on TV named Andy Cohen, who's an old friend of mine. He's kind of the king of Bravo and the channel that does all the Real Housewives shows and stuff. And he and I worked together at CBS many, 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 many years ago. And I asked him to Zoom with us. And I asked the class ahead of time, "Do you know who this guy is?" Some of the people knew who it was. I said, "Your job is to really do homework on him. You need to find out who he is, what he's about, what his journey has been in order for him to come from, an intern position to being one of the very top guys not only in his field, but at his network." And he Zoomed with us, and the questions were so great. They were all student-driven questions. And it was all about his own journey and the struggles in his journey, because anyone who achieves even this, it's never without some kind of moment of adaptability and resilience and rising above some of the challenges that seem insurmountable. And in Andy's case, he talked about being told early on in his career that you will never, ever be on television. You'll never be on television. And now he's on television all the time. And also is basically the creator and manager of a small empire. And the questions were so good. And as soon as the class was over, Andy texted me and said, "That got deep fast," which to me was really the key, because they weren't asking superficial questions. They were asking really meaningful questions about someone who has had, a real degree of success in his life.
And from all the times I've spoken with Central students, they all seem to get that too. They're there for more. They chose Central for more than just the education. They're the whole experience.
Well, they're really looking for a different kind of education.
Yeah.
It's more than the grades, right? It's it's a place. I think it's honestly a place where a lot of students feel like it's a place they can grow, and that is surely still the truth.
Absolutely. Well, I'll let you get back to your retirement now, Harry, unless there's... Is there anything more you want to share about being back here or your upcoming visit back here?
Well, it's going to be fun. The night with Felicia Bluter is going to be a blast, and we don't have a schedule yet, but we're dreaming of other kinds of events that we can help build a little bit better bridge between the college and the community. So there are things that the community that can come to, and the college can enjoy too. So yeah, we'd get some other ideas in the works, but nothing we can publicize. So, but look for those kinds of things, fingers crossed, in the future if we can pull them off.
Well, be sure to let us know how we can help you publicize once we can. So.
Well, sure do. So you're in front of a green screen. What's going to be there when this goes on the air?
Monty, my producer, and I were talking about that. We're trying to go back and forth, like the campus in the background, or Central College logo, or maybe just a windmill, something Pella. Do you have any suggestions?
The green does Pella High School, so
that's true. Yeah.
Maybe don't have to do much more. I wore a green shirt for Pella High. So I'm trying to represent everybody here as best we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to a Pella High School football game. I mean, there were a lot of things that I got to do. And I swam at the pool a couple of times a week, got to meet all kinds of Pella people there. It was great. There was a small group of young women. I'll call them young women. Well, they're sort of my age. And
that's young,
that started walking during the pandemic, and they didn't stop. And they would gather under a linden tree afterwards on lawn chairs. And early on in my time in Pella, I noticed them, and I walked over. They would set up over by the parking lot by the gym, over by Kuiper. And they had an open lawn chair one day, and I asked if I could come and sit down. And the next thing you know, I was hanging out with them many, many weeks, and we laughed and we had good times, and they told me all kinds of great stories about their lives. And so, we'll see. Maybe I could be able to socialize with them again when I get back to campus this fall.
Did you have a chance to have some coffee with some of our coffee groups of guys around town? Those guys are fun.
Right. I mean, it's so interesting, the different sort of subcultures of the High D group versus the Smoky Row group. There's another group over here, and these guys are over there. And it's I learned a lot. I learned a lot from just that kind of, and then trying to eat in as many different restaurants as possible. That was its own learning curve too.
So it's hard to pick a favorite eatery here in Pella, though. But
I really like the lunch at Bread's.
Oh yeah.
Right, they do good. It's a great place. Great place to have lunch. Clay Thompson, who's another board member and Central College graduate, was teaching a full course this past fall in the business department on problem solving. He spent his career at Caterpillar Tractor, has his law degree from Iowa, has his MBA from the University of Chicago. I mean, this guy's like a whiz.
Yeah.
He was an English major. He was an English major at Central. And so one night we had beers with the English faculty at the Peanut Pub. That was also a highlight.
The Peanut Pub is always a highlight, man.
And Gezellig, I really got to know Gezellig. I mean, in my life, this is just, there are all kinds of highlights of last fall.
That's excellent. You should write a book about that. That'll take some time for you.
Everybody has been hounding me about that. So I've had a couple of breakfasts with a book agent and some other book folk. Maybe after this speech is done, I have pages and pages of notes, but pages of notes don't turn into paragraphs and pages of a book to be read. So it's I guess that's the next task at hand.
Yeah. Well, I wish you luck with that, my friend. So
Steve, what's on your agenda today? I mean, come on, you're a busy guy.
Oh, it's every day's different, man. I gotta we're gonna head out here and we're gonna talk to some Humane Society folks, and because we've been trying to do a pet of the week. There's always animals. Yeah. But we do get busy. We don't always get there, but there's still animals that need homes, Harry. So
yeah, I know that. I used to do Pet of the Week on TV in Denver 40-something years ago. Every Wednesday was POTW, right? Pet of the Week. we're having a nice time and we're having a nice conversation, but I hope people in Marion County appreciate just how important it is that there's a news source in town, that in Knoxville and in Pella and downriver and upriver and out on the prairie and everywhere else, that there's a news source, that there's somebody paying attention. It's so absolutely important. And I gotta, if I had a hat on, I'd take it off to you, because what you do is really, really important work and really essential for the community. And I really just appreciate what you do out there.
Well, thank you, Harry. That really means a lot. It's certainly takes a lot of work, but it's a passion. My bank account will tell you it's more of a passion than a financial thing.
I was just going to say, if you're looking for piles of cash, you're going to have to make up with it in passion.
Right, definitely.
Yeah. All right, Steve. You have a good day today.
Hey, you too. Thanks again for your time and everything.
Yeah, my pleasure.
We'll see you. Thank you all for joining us.